Yo, so something big on TikTok going around is like theory trends, like really funny theories. Courage the Cowardly Dog, or like the theory behind that. So like apparently, Courage the Cowardly Dog is about like a regular dog living with a regular family, but you know how like dogs are like always scared and stuff like that. So like the theory is the cartoon is just like about a regular dog who creates delusions in their mind to protect their family. That's like the theory behind Courage the Cowardly Dog. Nothing is actually going on. It's just a regular dog creating delusions for safety purposes.
So I've actually heard this theory once before, and I've actually done some digging on it. So it's pretty funny that you brought this up for this week, right? Right, because I have two dogs, and in a way, I kind of understand the theory very well because think about it: a dog is supposed to have a heightened sense of smell, a heightened sense of hearing, right? And I thought they had a heightened sense of vision, but actually their vision is like a person who has like 20/70 vision. So basically, someone who's on borderline can't see at all. So just imagine that you walk around and you can't see anything, and all of a sudden you hear really loud noise in the background, and this weird thing starts smelling from across the room. It's like, imagine like just hallucinating all the time, except everything is dark and blurry, and all your hallucinatory like systems like are just sound and smell. And all of a sudden, it's just everything's scary, right? So like my dog barks at things that I can't even hear. But in his head, it's like, oh my God, a bomb just went off. I gotta save you. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Let me run around in circles.
Yeah.
So Courage the Cowardly Dog, for me, and I've done a lot of like crazy like metaphysical research that completely is out of this world, right? It's as if like he's on acid all the time. So the next one I have is Spongebob, right? So Bikini Bottom. I've heard this a lot also, where as a kid, what did you think of as Bikini Bottom? What was Bikini Bottom to you?
Just like fish in the water.
Yeah. So did some research. Bikini Bottom apparently there's a place in the world, like it's called like Bikini Beach or something like that. And apparently it was a nuclear testing site for the government, the United States government, for like 25 different bombs, right?
Okay.
So the theory behind Bikini Bottom is that all of the radioactive material bled into the water, and underneath the water in that place, all of the life forms were like mutated. So SpongeBob is like a mutated sponge that can talk, and Patrick is like a mutated star that can talk, and they're like the normal ones. But if you watch the show, everything is like really weird and like crazy and mutated, and almost as if like you're hallucinating as well. And if you think about it, like what's the place in Russia that was
Chernobyl?
Yeah, Chernobyl. If you go to Chernobyl, like they have like animals that are completely like arm coming out of their head type of thing.
Are you sure?
People can't live there because like you'll die.
Okay.
So like the animals mutated over time, and the plant life mutated over time to be unlivable. So I pictured that like that.
It's a real military project.
It was a real military project. Yeah, I don't know the exact name of the island. It's Bikini something.
Okay.
It's like a giant horseshoe of islands. Shot nuclear blast into the middle of it because it's all water.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too theoretical. That sounds very realistic.
Yeah, obviously. No. The real part was that we did that. The theory is that underneath the water, there's fish that can talk. Like, obviously, there's no fish that can talk. That's the whole point of the show, right? The next one that I found, and this one will hit hard because the last, like, 6 months, Pokemon has been a big thing. Ash Ketchum. Obviously, the main explanation is, hey, it's a kid show. Ash is going to be 10 years old for the rest of his life. If you remember Pokemon, I don't know how well you remember Pokemon, in, like, the first 3 episodes, when he first gets Pikachu thunder shocks him. Like, thunderbolts him, like, as hard as he can. And he faints. He wakes up and sees like a big Ho-Oh in the sky. Like Ho-Oh is not supposed to be in that first Pokemon like 151 characters, right? So the theory is that you can be really morbid about it and Ash died, or you can be a little less morbid and Pikachu put Ash in a coma, and the entire first season of Pokemon and there on out is Ash going through like a dream of what his life could have been if he kept Pikachu, because he never ages, right?
Every cartoon doesn't age.
Yes. Yeah.
So Naruto died. Yu-Gi-Oh died.
Naruto ages. Naruto ages.
He ages twice in a period of 20 years.
He ages though. Right?
Yeah, I know.
No, actually, his character ages. Like Dragon Ball Z, the characters age, like over time.
Barely.
I mean, like they don't look like they age, but they refer to them as being older in the show. If you watch the show, and this is something I learned, right? It's not something that I kind of knew about. Angelica, she's like the boss of all the babies. So if you watch the show closely, everyone knows that Angelica's mom doesn't really pay attention to her. She's like this savvy businesswoman, and her dad is kind of doofy. It's like, hey, like kind of doesn't pay attention because he doesn't know what's going on. If you notice also in the show, the only person who can understand the babies is Angelica, right? But Angelica can also understand the adults. So why would a 4-year-old be able to understand the adults and the babies, but the adults can't understand the babies, right? If Tommy Pickles talks, the dad doesn't know what he says. The only one that can understand them is Angelica. The theory is that her life is so like lonely, she created like a system of babies that she can be the boss of, like in her head. So mommy and daddy don't pay attention to me and everyone's bossing me around. How do I become the boss? I'm going to have imaginary friends that are babies that listen to everything I say and everything I do.
Well, most of the time they don't listen to her.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the shenanigans.
No, they almost never listen to her, but
Yeah.
she tries to be the boss, right? That's her character.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense because they all interact with each other. So, like, if they were imaginary, like, how do they interact with each other? They don't talk because one's a baby, one's an adult. So, like...
Yeah, but then a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old, she understands babies. Like, in the real world, she won't understand an 8-month-old baby, right? Like,
Angelica is not 4 or 5. She's, like, 2 or 3, probably.
I don't think so.
She's, like...
So today's episode, like last week's episode, is sponsored by 15 August Co. Luxury Candle Company. This is the Seduction Collection. The gold one I have here is Her. It is a sensual woman's perfume that you can put in your bathroom, you can put in your kitchen, you can put on your table. They look nice. They smell even better than they look. And visit 15augustco.com for any inquiries, and visit 15 August Co. on Instagram to talk to the owner. It's my mom's candle. I have a little bit of a bias, but I do think they're amazing. I think this one's my favorite, honestly.
Yeah, and it's like a fast-growing business. I think that you guys do like 4 to 5 figures a month.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right
Very
now.
cool.
We've done I would say a couple hundred sales in the last month. So we're just brand new, right? So we're people like them. Everyone who has them loves them.
Guys, handmade. It was just started a few months ago, already selling hundreds of units. If you're going to buy candles, why not buy these? And you could also keep this super high quality hand-chosen container. So, like, it acts as a container. So, like, if you buy a candle, you throw away the whole thing. But if you buy this, you have the container afterwards. Practical value. According to popularmechanics.com, what if we told you the Walt Disney Company created the movie Frozen to alter Google's search algorithm so when people looked up some variation of Disney Frozen information about the movie and not about Walt Disney himself being cryogenically frozen? Screen Rant writes that cigarettes used to be cropped out of Disney's hands in an attempt to keep up with the Mouse House's family-friendly branding. So while creating a hit movie to mess up with an internet algorithm sounds nutty, it kind of also makes sense, and if it was intentional, Disney is full of genius.
I mean, Disney has billions of dollars. Something like that could definitely be something that they do.
I doubt this is true, but this is something, as an internet marketer, I know this for a fact. Companies do stuff like this all the time to modify search rankings. So, like, companies will create, like, if you Google Disney Frozen, this is a genuine thing companies do all the time. Companies will create content to stuff in cloud Google search engine all the time.
So the first thing that comes up is Frozen the movie. Then there is that like random drop down menu stuff, and then the next one is Walt Disney's body frozen.
So
whoever made this like page about Walt Disney body being frozen, they really wanted to be on this page. They tried hard because this is not something Disney wrote.
So it's probably not true, but this is something companies do all the time. So it's heavily based in truth. Like, this isn't like completely conspiracy.
So what I can tell you about Disney in general, something that could strengthen the argument that they do things to manipulate the people, right? When you go to a park, apparently there's a color of green, and this is on TikTok as well, right? There's a color of green that the human eye, it's not that it's not perceptible, but people ignore. So like, it's like a weird sea foam green that like doesn't appear in nature in any way. There are transmission poles with it. So what happens is when you walk around the park, you're less likely to be like, oh, that ugly pole is just in the way.
Yeah, they figured out, what is it called? Okay, guys, so Disney has something called invisible green, where they use a specific green color that's hard for the person's mind to not neurologically catch. And so if Disney doesn't want people to see something in their Disney parks, they painted this color green because the human eye, it's hard for the human eye to neurologically capture the attention of like something like this. So like if you paint something bright red, the human eye neurologically captures onto it. But this invisible green, I guess it's because like a lot of trees and stuff like that are like this color of
Yeah, it's
green,
weird.
so the mind automatically rejects it.
They call it go away green.
Okay, so Disney uses a paint called Go Away Green. They paint stuff in their Disney parks so people don't get distracted or see it, because like it's not something that captures the attention of people. A theory could be like, so like the color red is like the color of ripe fruit, so like you go after like ripe fruit. So Go Away Green is the color of like leaves in forests. You don't eat leaves in forests. In fact, you kind of want to look past green in like a forest and stuff like that. So like I think the mind evolved to see green less, so you can see past forests and stuff like that throughout our evolution. We see things like yellow, which is the sun. We see things like bright red, but like colors like white, colors like Go Away Green, evolutionarily, I think it made us harder to see those colors because they're more of a distraction. Like you don't need to see this big forest, you need to see through it. You don't need to see these clouds, you want to know where the sun is so you could grow your crops.
The next Disney theory, right, we can go on to here is, I've seen this on TikTok, I've seen this on Instagram, and now I'm doing a little bit of research right here. Disney created their park in a way that mosquitoes cannot thrive. So you have all these paying customers that are in scorching heat of Florida all the time that never get bitten by mosquitoes. So apparently Disney does not allow standing water in their parks, so mosquitoes can't come and lay their eggs, right? That's crazy. Imagine you just all the time. Like yesterday I went to a water park, my legs were being eaten alive at this water park. My like little flies and like mosquitoes. Disney says, no way. No mosquitoes here. You're gonna enjoy your time here.
Yo, this is great because this ties in with business. So we could just do like business fun facts and trends. That's
cool.
like amazing.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
do more business facts. First of all, I hate mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are like the most dangerous, murderous animals in the world. They probably kill more people than anything, than any other animal.
That's true. Yeah.
So like, I hate mosquitoes, and like the fact that Disney puts in so much effort to get rid of mosquitoes, huge applause. Yo, Disney, man, Disney knows what they're doing, man.
So, if you want to continue on the Disney theory, right, this one would take 3 podcasts in and of itself. The theory, right, and my brother is someone who's been very into this. Every one of Disney's movies is tied into each other. Every one of them. Do you know Frozen, right?
Okay, I never saw it.
Yeah, so in the movie Frozen, I think her name is Elsa, right? Her parents, like they're in this mansion, they're very affluent, right? They're explorers of the world. They go on a trip, and that's why they're home. They get stuck home alone, and they die, right? The tie-in theory is that those 2 parents who took their vessel out at sea got stuck in a jungle, right? And they had baby Tarzan. So in the movie Tarzan, it's 2 people from like Great Britain who wash on shore in a jungle and have to keep their baby to survive, right? Because like the mother was pregnant. So they build this big tree house and they live in the tree house because they don't have a boat. They're just stuck in the jungle. The tiger, the bad guy in Tarzan, kills the parents and the gorilla takes the baby. So the theory is that Tarzan is related to Elsa and whoever the other girl is.
Starbucks roundtables were created specifically so customers would feel less alone.
If you are an owner of like a TD bank, right?
Okay.
You bring money in, right? And you're allowed to only do certain things based on federal law, right? Starbucks has an app that you can deposit your money into, right? Everyone who uses Starbucks uses this app, right? My wife uses it. She pays $25 a month or whatever, and she buys like her coffees straight from the app. And then whatever doesn't get into the app, you charge the card, right? So what Starbucks does, they hold that money until you buy the coffee. So like if you deposit $25, you cannot take it out. You cannot take it out and you can only use it for coffee. So basically you said, Starbucks, I'm paying you $25 so I can then get coffee in the future. Apparently there are anywhere between $1 and $2 billion in the Starbucks system at any point in time, and Starbucks has complete control of that money no matter what. So they're basically saying, hey everybody, lend us your money and we'll pay you in coffee. So they have almost an unlimited amount of money coming to them before coffees are ever made, and they can use that money for whatever they want.
So to copy speak, Starbucks has currently $1 to $2 billion in deposits from people who pre-ordered coffee.
Yeah. And they can do whatever they want with their money.
So they're a intermediary escrow bank that's worth $1 to $2 billion minimum
Maybe more.
because people have deposited money for coffee they haven't ordered yet. Amazing.
Yeah. So Starbucks wants to expand. Where do they get their capital? From the people.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Dasani water is purified tap water. It doesn't come from a spring.
Yeah, that
Makes
makes sense.
sense.
But you want to know what does come from a spring? And I learned this, right? So I always thought that like seltzer or soda water was always man-made. Like you get like a vintage seltzer, Bubbles carbonated water. But what is the brand, right? What's the green bottle?
Perrier.
So Perrier, I always thought that soda water was always man-made. But apparently Perrier and Pellegrino actually come from a naturally carbonated spring. It's a real thing in nature. And if you ever drink that water, it's a lot than would be something that's man-made.
So just to put it briefly, apparently seltzer and like soda water, club soda or whatever, it's actually not man-made in like a factory or something. People get it from the water bubbly.
So
we got to fact check that.
People who buy like vintage, it's man-made. But there are certain brands that are not man-made. So there is a naturally occurring carbonated spring. Like it is a real thing.
1 in 10 Europeans are conceived in an IKEA bed.
So IKEA must be significantly larger in Europe than it is here. Definitely. It's a Swedish company, right?
Yeah.
That's nuts. So IKEA, right? To bounce off that fact, IKEA purposely makes it impossible as a hyperbole, to get out of this store. When you walk in IKEA, someone like me who like I wouldn't say I have anxiety, but I have like situational like anxiety, where if I'm in a situation where I don't want to be in, right, I get really annoyed. So when I walk into an IKEA, unless I know where I'm going, I usually don't stay there, I just leave. Because they make it so like it's very hard to get out.
Yeah. And IKEA sells very, very cheap food, so you stay longer.
Yeah.
And you get an award. You get a dopamine hit. Yeah, you pay like $1 for like cake.
When we furnish this office, right? We like these are all IKEA desks. My friend goes, "Yo, you want to get Swedish meatballs?" Like before we got there, he goes, "Yo, we can get Swedish meatballs." I was like,
one thing casinos and malls do, among other like commercial businesses, like commercial real estate businesses, is that they do things like they inflate the oxygen in the mall or the casino. So like you have like more oomph and you have like higher energy because there's like more oxygen in the air. So you're like more hyper. So it's kind of like when you sprint and you suck in air to get yourself like pumped. Yeah. So casinos and malls do that to get you more energized. So like you have more fun and you buy more things. Another thing that casinos and malls do is that they hide the exit signs. So you are not subliminally messaged to leave the area. It's very, very hard to see exit signs. What is a very common question you ask inside a mall? Where's the exit?
Yeah, how do I get out?
How do I get out? That is a question you always ask inside malls. And the reason why is because they hide the exit signs. They create purposefully turns, left and right turns, so you don't see the exits. And they put the exit signs at top of the doors that you have to turn a left and a right for. They purposely do that so you don't get subliminally messaged to leave. And when you're on elevators and you look straight, it's very hard to see the left and the right turns to leave the mall. Yes.
So you just never leave. Well, no, another crazy thing that I know about casinos. So I've been reading the Jordan Belfort books, like The Wolf of Wall Street, and then his sequel, Catching Wolf of Wall Street. Apparently, he explained that this happened to him. So the reason why I know this is because of him. Apparently, what a casino does, hey, I have $50,000. I want to change it into chips. No questions asked. They don't care who you are. Here are your $50,000 in chips. But you have to start off with $10,000. You come to us for the next 40. Okay, you don't think anything of it. I put my $10,000 on the blackjack table. Should last me an hour, right? You play with your $10,000. Let's say you lose all that money. You want to get the next 40. Sorry, sir, you need to show ID to get the rest of your money. What if you don't have your ID? What happens? They give you the chips and they say, okay, you have to leave. You cannot play. You have to leave with this $40,000 in chips. So he says, okay, no problem. I'm going to go cash them out. When you go to cash them out, you need ID. What do? Now you have $40,000 in chips that either you go home with and then you have to come back, or you go and spend every dollar of it.
It's retargeted advertising.
Yeah. It's retargeted advertising, but it's like they're manipulating you, but you also feel like you're kind of being stolen from. Like, it's something that you definitely know they're doing, and you can't do anything about it. Okay, so when you walk into a casino, you need ID to prove that the money that you're playing with is yours. So you have $50,000, you get to play with 20% of your money, but now you have all these chips and you don't know what to do with them. You want to cash them out, but you can't cash them out unless you have an ID. Now the casino basically told you, hey, you have to stay here and spend your $40,000 in chips, even though it's your money. I'm giving you no other choice.
So one thing casinos do is that they have this scheme. I'm not going to get into it too much, but what they do is basically certain times you need to show your ID to get all your chips back, to get all your casino chips back. So what they do is they require an ID. And sometimes if you don't have an ID present, you're mandated to take the chips home and come back with the ID. So it's a form of marketing where they have people come back with their ID, but it's really also to make them play more in the casino. So one thing carnivals do is that, the basketball hoop game?
Yeah.
It's an oval, not a circle. So I didn't even know that. So when you play it, it looks like a circle. It doesn't look like an oval. But if you look at it from the top angle, and nobody looks at it from the top angle, it's actually an oval. That's why it's so hard to put the ball in the hoop.
The same thing with the little rings. The little rings are...
Squares.
No, they're rings, the ones you throw, right? And they're like, let's say an inch in diameter. The bottle that you need to get it on is like 0.95 inches in diameter. Physically impossible to put on, almost even if you're going directly on top. They do this with all carnival games, no matter what you do.
That's the game, man. That's the carnival. You know that when you go to a carnival. The iPad 2 would cost $1,140 if it were made in America, which is funny because I think it costs $1,100 anyway.
The iPad 2.
iPad 2 costs how much?
Well, the iPad 2, meaning like the original?
I don't know, the iPad 2.
Does it say iPad 2? Yeah, so I'm assuming when it means that the iPad 2 that was really like only $300 when it came out probably would be like 4 times the money.
Okay, so guys, when the iPad 2 came out, it was $500, but if it was made in America, it would cost over $1,100, which isn't that much more. I figured it would be more.
Yeah, but that was in 2014. Right now you're paying for an iPad 7 years later, that's $1,100. That would blow that out of the water. And in 2014, like, what is $500 worth for 2014 money? It's probably worth $600.
Taco Bell has proved to be a huge flop in Mexico because Mexican people are confused by the Americanization of their cuisine.
Dude, it's like saying Chinese food. Do you know there's a reason why everywhere you go to like a Chinese restaurant, the food's always the same? There's like one supplier that all they do is say, hey, what's the name of your business? And they change the menu to fit your business model. And then like say like, okay, you can add 1 or 2 different things. And then they supply all the food to you. So your Chinese food in Texas and my Chinese food in America, there's like a 90% chance we get our food and our menus and our furniture from the same place.
So most Chinese food restaurants that are different businesses get their food from the same place.
Yes, a lot of them. Yes. That's why they're all the same. You want chicken and broccoli with white sauce, it's going to taste identical with a little bit of the chef's twist on it no matter where you go.
So basically most Chinese food businesses are just logistic businesses.
Yes.
Who can get to you the food the fastest in the best way possible.
Yes. When a Chinese person says, hey, I want to start a business, and you go to your uncle who's 60 years old, how did you make all your money? Oh, hey, I owned a Chinese restaurant and I went to this supplier. Because they all go to that guy. I mean, that's why the food's great, right? Because it's all exactly the same. It's just different names. It's like having a McDonald's with a different logo on it.
Okay.
Well, if you think about it, every fast food restaurant does this. McDonald's gets all of their food
so
from the same... No, it's just. But the thing is, you don't look at a Chinese food restaurant as like a franchise.
Because they're different businesses.
Yeah, exactly, because they're different businesses. Yeah, so it's just like it's like a better fast food restaurant. It's my favorite type of food, honestly. Was he the 4th member of Facebook?
No. There
Like
was 5 founders.
Yeah, was he like the 4th founder? Like you had like the Winklevoss twins. There was somebody before him, and maybe he was the 4th.
I think it was founded in 2004.
Maybe. No idea. We're never going to figure it out.
Serial is the 2nd largest advertiser on television today, behind Cars. So Cars is the #1 advertiser on television. Serial is 2nd. Why is that significant? The vast majority of the people who watch TV are basically people who are seniors or much older.
Or the people who buy the cars and buy the cereals for their kids.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they're just...
It's the same person.
That's interesting.
Why cereal is so popular. Do you eat a lot of cereal?
Yeah, it's a sugary rush of carbs in the morning.
But it's like, exactly. So it's a sugary rush of carbs in the morning, but you would think like the general population would kind of catch on that it's literally like an expensive, useless thing to eat.
Yeah.
But no,
It's candy in the morning. That's why it's popular.
Yeah.
Google was originally called back rub.
I don't even want to know why.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Pepsi got its name from the digestive enzyme pepsine.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I've heard that before. But now, hold on. Just let's go back to Google quickly. Imagine it took off.
Yeah. Everybody would think it's a massage company.
Did you back rub this?
Yo, what do you think?
Let's back rub these facts right now.
Yeah. Yo, what do you think of, like, can you imagine working at Yahoo and then, like, somebody, like the CEO or an executive is walking by and then somebody goes, Google that.
Yeah.
Instead of saying Yahoo it. Can you imagine?
Did Yahoo have a search engine? Was that their first thing?
Yeah, it is a search engine.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's probably politically incorrect to say Google it in Yahoo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think Yahoo tried to was like AOL with a search engine. Because when AOL came out, it was just like, it was the end all be all of the internet. You couldn't go on the internet without it. It was your operating system.
Yeah.
And Yahoo was like, we can do this better. And in my opinion, I will never use AOL now ever again. But AOL and AIM back in the day before Google.
All the cool kids. Before followers, so just a copy speak. Now it's all about getting followers on Instagram. But before followers on Instagram, it was how popular you are at AIM.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, how good was your away message? Wow,
yeah. But like, how many people would talk to you via AIM after school? That was like the equivalent of how many followers you have on Instagram.
And you know what I realized too, and I tell people this all the time, Facebook is trying to go in the direction where you do all of your internet like activity within Facebook. You can do almost 90% of your internet activity within Facebook. Like you can get like links via Facebook. You can watch your videos via Facebook. It's kind of like a very good version of AOL. Like I've heard Mark Zuckerberg wants to go that way where you can actually start searching the web. But it's almost like, are you really going to step on Google's toes at that point?
Every tech company wants to be the entire internet.
Yeah, that's very true.
Amazon.com employees spend 2 days every 2 years working at the customer service desk, even the CEO, in order to help all workers understand the customer service process. Brilliant. As a person that, like, I'm a business advisor, I'm a marketing consultant, brilliant. Because the disconnect between most executives and, like, what that customer actually wants is massive.
When he says every employee, it's the office employee or the warehouse guy too?
Probably both. Amazon.com employees spend 2 days every 2 years working at the customer service desk.
So like 1 day a year, basically.
Yeah, 1 day a year, which is brilliant because
That's
like,
cool.
I'm telling you, man, doing marketing consultant, dude, like a lot of companies have a strong disconnect about what their customers want and like what the CEO thinks they want. Candy Crush makes $3.3 million a day. Yeah.
The thing about Candy Crush, right? Not that I don't think it's relevant anymore, but there has to be people who are like my mom's age, you know, in their 50s who didn't catch the first wave. That game never ended. You played that game, and when you finished, for some reason, the next update had 50 levels. And it took you until the next update to beat those 50 levels, and they knew exactly what they were doing. So it's a game that literally never ends. And the only way you can finish is if you pay money to finish.
Samsung accounts for 20% of Korea's gross domestic product.
Samsung is one of the largest conglomerates in the world. When you think of Samsung, you think of the phone and like the refrigerator, but Samsung owns like one of the largest infrastructure construction companies in all of the world. They're huge. They brought in $200 billion this last year.
So as of 2014, 20% of South Korea's gross domestic product is Samsung. So it's probably still the same in 2021, but that's insane that one company produces like 20% of their gross domestic product.
Let's just see right now, right?
So enormous part of Korea's economy.
So Korea's economy right now is 1.6 trillion US dollars, and Samsung accounted for 200 billion of that. So 1/8.
16%?
Yeah, 1/8.
As of today, Samsung accounts for 12.5% of Korea's GDP.
Which is crazy. It's one company.
Warner Music owns the copyrights to Happy Birthday, so it's technically owed royalties every time you sing it to someone.
Come after me.
So if a big movie, if a Hollywood movie uses a Happy Birthday song, they owe money to Warner.
Have you ever watched a movie where they sing Happy Birthday?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither.
Exactly, because they have to give $2 million to Warner. The new car smell is composed of over 50 volatile organic compounds. So the new car smell is 50 chemicals fused together.
Yeah, just don't light a match, basically, is what they're saying.
Nah, well, probably.
It says volatile, right? Specifically, that was the word you used?
Yeah.
Yeah, that means it's probably like ready to combust at any moment.
If Bill Gates were a country, he'd be the 37th richest country on Earth as of 2014. Jeff Bezos is worth the equivalent of Venezuela's GDP. One man is equivalent to the economic production of Venezuela.
Yeah, if you think about it, you have Bezos, you have Musk, you have Buffett and Gates. They would be roughly worth, what, $1 trillion? It's a country. It's a full country.
So Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos put together have more economic production value than Venezuela. McDonald's first menu items were hot dogs, not hamburgers. Good change. Good change.
Yeah, hot dogs are not good.
Hot dogs are great. The actor who played the Marlboro Man died of lung cancer.
Oh, Marlboro.
Marlboro.
Yeah, Marlboro. The cigarette company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More people in the world have mobile phones than toilets.
Well, think about it, right? It's not just about buying the toilet. You need to have plumbing that goes with it. So if the country doesn't have plumbing, you can still buy a phone. They might have a 5G infrastructure or a 4G infrastructure, but they might not have plumbing.
Wow. Starbucks spends more money on healthcare insurance for its employees than on coffee beans.
Do you know that Starbucks...
As of 2014.
Starbucks, right? If you were an employee of Starbucks, you have like a college assistance program where they help pay for tuition. Like Starbucks is one of the best places for an 18-year-old to work.
Yeah.
Because they will help you through your college and you can leave after. They don't care.
The better you compensate your team, the better it performs.
Yeah, the biggest problem with Starbucks is that they have about thousands of combinations of drinks and there's not one human being who actually knows any of them. Because no matter what Starbucks you go to, your drinks don't taste the same.
If you have $10 in your pocket and no debt, you are wealthier than most of Americans.
Americans.
That's insanity.
That's crazy. The problem with that is that America wants you to be in debt. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not in debt, the American economy has a harder time growing.
Yeah.
Unless nobody was in debt. That would be the only other solution.
A lot of debt is good. Many real estate entrepreneurs are on like negative net worth or have a huge amount of debt.
Yeah, it depends on the type of debt you use.
As long as you use debt to purchase assets that long-term produce more economic value, it's fine.
Well, it also doesn't refer like most Americans are in debt because most Americans have to mortgage their home. So almost every American is really in debt, right? It's very hard to not be in debt to your house. Yeah.
So most Americans have a negative net worth.
Fair enough.
So most children are richer than most American adults.
Well, your parents' net worth pass on to you just by association? Like, is it like your family net worth?
Most children are richer than their parents in the United States of America because most American adults are in debt.
Fair enough.
Crazy. Apple had a third founder, Ronald Wayne, who had a 10% stake in the company. He left the company after 12 days and forfeited his shares for $2,300.
10% of Apple right now is $200 billion.
The third co-founder of Apple could have been as rich as Jeff Bezos if he didn't leave.
I don't think anyone in their right mind, though, would hold on to those shares. I think most option and stock option contracts are allowing you to sell X percentage for every year that you work there. What is Tim Cook worth? Tim Cook has to be worth almost $100 billion, right?
No.
Close?
No.
What do you mean, no?
A few billion.
A few?
Yeah.
What's a few? What do you think it is?
$5 billion or less.
5 billion?
Or less.
40.
Do it.
Wow, that's bad. You were over too. That's bad. I would expect them to be worth a lot more.
I said a few bill. Wow. That's an old article, so it's probably a few bill right now.
No, it's 2021.
70% of small businesses are owned and operated by a single person. I also think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the average employee makes more money than the average entrepreneur. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Meaning like the average American who makes $50,000 makes more than the average entrepreneur.
Yeah.
After expenses.
Or the number's remarkably close. So
Yeah.
like the average entrepreneur is not that
sense.
much richer than the average employee.